And then you include my last name in there. There's only 2 people named Paul Matuszak in the country, and both of us did serve in the Army. Both of us are male, last I checked. Don't know about the gender, or not the gender, but the exact racial makeup, because I don't know if he's got the Cossack and Siberian Asian type blood in him that I do. We'll assume that he does. So now you're down to 2 out of, a few million Americans. Or if you go to the world, out of 6 billion-ish people. Okay, so we're 2. I think that's kind of a minority already. And then you add in that I was born on a certain date of 2 certain parents. And I'm the only one. So as you sit there and add these descriptors in, you find out that I'm a collective of 1. I'm a minority. And my individual rights are the ones that are supported by more right-leaning individuals. So which one really supports the true minorities, folks? Just tossing that out there. Because my rights as an individual are the exact same rights as my next-door neighbor, who is not of the same minority as me, and not of the same made-up classification known as, in quotes, race that I am. Of course, I'm referring to what collective they've been shoehorned into because of skin pigmentation, or the continent of origination or origin of his ancestors or her ancestors. So those false collectives, because we're each individually a human being, a minority of 1, and collectively we're all one race known as the human race. So if you apply the same rights to every member of the human race, at least who's a citizen of the United States, then that takes care of all the minority of ones out there. So, just kind of wanted to predicate what's coming up next with that, because we've got some stuff coming out of Washington, folks.
You don't have a right to know everything in a separation of powers government, my friend. That is the difference between a parliamentary government and a separation of powers government.
Yeah, and it's amazing how many people think that way. The stupidity of the minority of people that just gets broadcast out so much that you think it's a majority. Because how dare you think different, right? Well, another person who thinks similar to Eleanor Norton is the Secretary of Education, Arne Duncan. Arne Duncan just looks like that guy that if you were to, walk into the same gym I worked out at, and I were to somehow get him to step into the boxing ring, he would just be fun to pummel into unconsciousness. Just because. He just has one of those faces that you just want to punch before he even opens his mouth. Then he opens his mouth and makes you really want to do it. The problem is, he's also one of those people that has a bank of lawyers and just waits for people to give him his just desserts so he can sue him. He just looks like one of those weaselly little individuals. Anyway, good old Arne Duncan, the racist that he is, the person who loves collectives, took a little visit to Spelman College, where while he was there, he said that the biggest problem with education is that there are too many white female teachers. Yep, there you have it. Too many teachers are white and female. Need more males. I need more of those males to be not white, to better serve the students through diversity. Folks, we talked about diversity yesterday and what it really means. Diversity comes from the same root word as divide, meaning to split apart. Diversity means seeking those things that separate us. I would rather look at those things that connect us all together, that homogenize us in this great melting pot. So, yeah, good old Arne Duncan there. In fact, if you go over to weaselzippers.com, and you can see that story there, I'll have it linked over there with the podcast for those of you listening to the podcast. Interesting that our wonderful Secretary of Education, how he feels about minorities and diversity. Yeah. Other things going on in Washington. Of course, we have all kinds of interesting things coming out of Washington. Because Congress is back in session. They showed up on Monday, started doing their votes yesterday. And their first vote, Congress voted overwhelmingly 249 to 163 to basically scold Barack Obama because of the 2014 Defense Appropriations Act, the NDAA for 2014, which requires the White House to inform Congress 30 days prior to any prisoner swap, which White House didn't do, giving up 5 terrorists for 1 traitor. Yeah. 22 people on the same side of the aisle as our beloved Presbo, the clown. 22 of his ardent supporters in Congress, in the House, crossed party lines and voted in favor of the move to rebuke the president. And BuzzPro has the article giving a little bit more information on that. It's titled "Breaking Obama," or "Breaking," because Taylor Millard loves to put the word "breaking" in his headlines. Anyway, the title of it is "Obama Condemned by House for Bergdahl Swap." Of course, if you're listening to this podcast after today, that's Wednesday. If you're listening to this on Thursday, Friday, or Saturday, this is no longer breaking news. Just throwing that out there. Let's all give a quick laugh at Taylor for calling something that may no longer be breaking. Anyway. So, yeah, that's more coming out of our wonderful federal government. On the flip side, folks, let's look at stuff going on a more local level. One thing I want to bring to your attention, if you happen to be in, near, or around, or within driving distance, or even a short flight, and you can afford the airfare, you have any one of those lucky people who's independently wealthy, and you can manage to get to San Antonio this evening. There is a event for charity being put on to help wounded warriors, and there's a bunch of wounded warriors, amputees, who are taking on including some rather famous football players. I think there's some NFL players in there, some former NFL players in there, some former collegiate stars. They'll be playing against some amputated wounded warriors for charity, raising money for the Wounded Warrior Project, as well as some other charities here in San Antonio. I want to say it's at the Alamo Dome tonight. Not sure exactly where, but that's my best guess. So if you like watching flag football, this is flag, not full contact tackle, which would not be a fair contest with the big bad, star football players playing against the amputees. You want to know why? They reach the tackle and they grab onto one of those blade legs, and they're stuck holding the prosthetic in their hands while the amputee hops down the stretch and gets 10, 15, 20 more yards out of it. Kind of hard to tackle somebody when you're pulling their detachable limbs off, so to speak. So it wouldn't be a fair contest. So they decided to make it flag football, making it a little bit more fair So it'll be interesting to see the game. So for those who feel so inclined, please head on out and watch the game and show your support for our wounded warriors. Have a good time. Watch some flag football. Football. The season's on us. So go ahead and head over there. Speaking of veterans, by the way, and our great military uniform personnel, I want to call your attention to something that happened recently in the bankrupt, both morally and economically bankrupt city of Detroit. Good old Detroit. Gotta love their schools, huh? They're teaching our kids great things. Well, a lieutenant colonel recently moved to the area. A U.S. Army lieutenant colonel was up there, and he went to go help out his daughter, who's there in Rochester, Michigan, which is just outside of Detroit. And Colonel Baker was trying to help his daughter by going and seeing the guidance counselor and try to get things arranged for his daughter's school schedule. And he went to go and see the high school, and the security guards told him that his uniform was offensive and he was not allowed to enter the building, and he had to go home and change in order to conduct any business because military uniforms were offensive and not allowed in the school. Mind you, this isn't some jackass wearing Army camo because they think it's cool. And it is cool, by the way, folks. This is an actual lieutenant colonel in the military, properly wearing his uniform within AR 670-1 standards, who is showing up to help out his daughter, who was told, nope, you're not allowed to be on the premises in a military uniform. I have some words for that security guard, but unfortunately they're not safe for radio. But they're not nice words. If any of you have words that are safe for radio that you can lend to this, and you want to call in and share them with us, the number here is 520-226-8567. So go ahead and call up and let us know how you feel about a soldier. Okay, got it. He's an officer. All right, he's a commissioned officer. But if this could have been a lower enlisted guy, this could have been a sergeant, this could have been a lieutenant, this could have been a general. It doesn't matter. They didn't turn him back because of his rank. They turned him back because of the uniform he wears. That uniform that guaranteed that jackass his right to free speech to go and flap his gums. Now, the school district itself denies that any such policy exists. So, it may have just been the security guard being a jackass, but yeah, it happened, folks. So, go ahead and call in and let me know how you feel about that. Or if you're listening to podcasts, leave it down in the comments and let us know how you feel about that kind of treatment of our soldiers. And of course, our soldiers are out there facing threats to our nation, threats to our freedom, threats to our Constitution, defending it on a daily basis. Well, there's a sheriff down here in this little speck of dust that's barely big and significant enough to even be called a state, even though it used to be, once upon a time, its own independent nation. Of course, I'm speaking of Texas. No, there's a county sheriff from Midland County by the name of Gary Painter, who, upon hearing the possibilities, and of course our government is denying this, but he's also getting information through other sources. Some of them are government sources, some of them are coming from informants on the other side of the border, but that ISIS is attempting to infiltrate, if they haven't already, our country and bring their fighters and logisticians across the border, to include going right through Midland County. Well, Midland County Sheriff Gary Painter has a few words about the possibility ISIS themselves. Now, he went on Fox News, I think it was Fox News, and, or maybe it was CNN. No, it was CNN. He went on CNN, folks, and kind of gave them a little bit of a few words of wisdom, as it would be. And we happen to have the audio, so enjoy about the next 5 minutes or so of listening to County Sheriff Gary Painter tell you his side of the story about what ISIS might be in store for if they happen through his area.
So if you live here in New York, or if you've been here in the subway system, the rail passengers are constantly warned, if you see something, say something. Every one of us has to be on our toes. And one Texas sheriff says he is ready for ISIS. We're joined now by Sheriff Gary Painter of Midland County, Texas. Good evening, Sheriff.
Good evening. How are you?
Yeah, I'm great. I hope you're great as well. You have said that you want to be ready in case of an attack by ISIS or by any other terror group. What's your biggest concern?
Well, the fact that they're already here. That's the biggest thing. I worked the border for about 8 years. There's places on the border that you can walk across upriver from Presidio. There's no water in the river. There's no fences. There's nothing to keep you out. So, and we've got, what, 10 to 15 million that are undocumented aliens that are inside the United States now. And there's no doubt that there have been some people come in that should not be here, that are from places other than Mexico or Hispanic states.
You said that they're already here. Why do you believe they're already here? You believe ISIS is already here?
Well, I believe they have cells here. I believe they have people here. They have cohorts. They have people that are here that are going to throw in with them. I believe you have some homegrown people that are going to get mixed up, and we've already seen them where, in Syria where they've been killed and identified as being from the United States. So I think it'd be naive to say that they're not here.
But your own Governor Rick Perry recently said that individuals from ISIS or other terrorist states could be coming across the Mexican border, but the Pentagon officials have told CNN there's no information that leads us to believe that ISIS is a quote, ISIS was crossing at the U.S.-Mexican border. So are you concerned at all that you might be scaring your own citizens because you're saying you believe that they're already here?
I think our citizens are aware that there is a strong possibility that these individuals are already here. Sure, there's not positive proof, but how many people knew there was 10 to 15 million undocumented aliens? How do you prove that? We have people that are in this United States on visas, student visas, work visas, that have never reported in. They've had no one to check them, no one that can identify that they're still here illegally until they get stopped by law enforcement or something by chance happens. So,
but my question was that do you believe that you're scaring your citizens is what you don't
I don't think no, I think they're aware of the reality that there's probably some people here. There may be some people that get scared, and I'm sorry for that, but the reality is that we're looking at square in the face.
So Sheriff, you have a department there with 100 deputies. How does a department in Midland, Texas prepare for ISIS?
Well, we go through emergency management training twice a year. We have different scenarios that we go through. We get involved with other agencies, state, federal, and other local agencies, as well as agencies from the outside. We work with hospitals, emergency management groups, ambulances, air evacs, all kinds of people. And we get prepared for different kinds of scenarios. Law enforcement, you have to work with each other. There's no way that you can do your job without depending on the public, without depending on each other. So we always work and go hand in hand with trying to help each other out.
And we also understand that you received an intelligence briefing about ISIS. What specifically did it tell you?
Just that information came in about 3 or 4 days ago that there was a suspected cells of ISIS that was in Juarez, Mexico, that they were operating. They were moving through that country, and there was some activity going on. And it warned us to be on the lookout for it, to be expect something, and be careful with the law enforcement officers around the border and within close proximity to the border.
So quickly, what's your message to if there are ISIS fighters who may already be in the United States or in your area who've crossed across the border? What's your message to them?
Well, if they rear their ugly head, we'll send them to hell.
That puts
That
a
pretty much
pretty
sums
fine
it up.
point on it, Sheriff.
Thank you, Sheriff Painter.